Welcome back to a brand new No BS crypto news video where I bring you crypto news every single day in the most no BS kind of way. Now, today's video, we are going to be touching on some good news relating to the old FTX crash that happened recently and some, I guess, more recent news that has occurred, but very good recent news. We'll be touching on Bitcoin and ordinals and also touching on a very important point because a crypto founder has predicted a massive crash coming very soon. And I get it, you're all well and truly sick of hearing things relating to crypto crashing. It's like, 3 days away from today? So things are heating up. It's always good to take into consideration expert opinions, and this is no exception. So let's begin, of course, in the traditional sense. The heat map today, Bitcoin is up 1%. Altcoins look very different to what they were yesterday. It was a sea of red, now it is a sea of green. It is good to see, but they have ever so slightly moved up. It's literally inconceivable to even bother trying to look at the slight differences. Now, GMT, Conflux, IOTA, and Injective are up the most today, but most notably, GMT. So there you go. Some of these projects are also up ever so slightly. Mina was teetering on $1. Now it's up to $1.15 again. So, hey, these swings happen quite quickly as well. Top losers today, Clayton. This one had a bit of a tear recently. Bitcoin SV as well, XLR, Lido, XDC, so on, so forth. Again, it is sort of minute in both ways. So the first bit of news today, DCG completes repayment of $700 million Genesis debt. So Genesis was like an institutional lender, basically, and these guys are a subsidiary of the parent company, DCG. Now, DCG, you might know if you've been around in crypto long enough, these guys are Digital Currency Group, basically one of the larger venture capitalists, and I believe an S-tier venture capitalist in the space. Now, this is great because they have repaid Genesis on all their short-term loans they basically had out with Genesis at the time of the FTX debacle way back in, I think it was November of 2022. Genesis, I believe, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in January of 2023. And of course, at that, DCG has only recently paid back all of its short-term loans with Genesis. So that's good. And that's part of the way going to actually paying back all of Genesis creditors as well. I think they had quite a bit. As you can see down here, they had about $3.5 billion into its top 50 creditors, including Gemini and VanEck. So that's well and truly on their way, I believe, will help Genesis and redeem all the money basically that they had owing. Now, news number 2, some psycho, at least some rich person that was bored, has decided to send $1.2 million of Bitcoin to Satoshi Nakamoto's wallet. Just crazy. Now, they reportedly had just purchased this on Coinbase just on the day and then sent it over to Satoshi. Now, a lot of people are speculating this might have something to do with one of the Bitcoin issuer ETFs, and they might be using this as some sort of promo or something like that. It would make sense, right? Hey, we're buying Bitcoin, send it away. Now that Bitcoin is, as they say, like effectively burned, right? Satoshi's wallet is known to be basically untouched, and that might mean that it never will be touched, effectively meaning those Bitcoins are burnt forever. It will be quite a shame if Satoshi happens to pop up at some point in the future, right? But in this case, I think that would make sort of like a valid, Bitcoin / ETF marketing stunt, because only 21 million Bitcoins, we just burnt 46 of them, they're gone forever. So there you go. Now, the main topic of today, let's just get straight into it. The crypto founder in question predicts a 30 to 40% Bitcoin price correction if the SEC approves the ETF. I don't even want to know what he thinks if it doesn't get approved in the next few days here. So the man in question is Arthur Hayes, BitMEX's co-founder. This guy published a blog post predicting a specific price correction for Bitcoin following the introduction of the highly anticipated spot Bitcoin ETFs. Now, I want to interject. If you haven't seen my video from last night on how to actually, capitalize on this situation in the best way possible, whether we do have a crash or whether we don't, you're going to want to watch that, right? You'll be up to date on all the information regarding these ETFs and, again, how to actually capitalize correctly. So that will be literally on the channel like 4 videos ago. You're going to want to watch it. But this is interesting. This came out today. And again, this is someone who we actually have to listen to. This is someone whose opinion we should hold in a high regard. Now, no one knows what is going to happen. I don't care who the hell they say they are or how much they've been right in the past. Gareth Soloway, I don't care who you are. You are never going to predict what is going to happen. You can speculate on what's going to happen. So don't take what he says here as the gospel, but definitely take it into consideration. So Arthur also said, I expect Bitcoin to experience a healthy 20 to 30% correction from whatever level it has attained by early March. So this isn't going to be in the next 3 days. This could be something that occurs over the next couple months here. The washout could be even more severe if the slate of US listed spot Bitcoin ETFs has already commenced trading as of today, okay? In the blog post, Hayes also predicted a 30 to 40% correction in Bitcoin's price if the value of the cryptocurrency surges to its previous all-time high in 2021. So he said specifically here, right? Imagine if the anticipation of hundreds of billions of fiat flowing into these ETFs at a future date propels Bitcoin above 60,000 and close to its all-time 2021 high of $70,000. I could easily see a 30 to 40% correction due to a dollar liquidity rug pull. This is what I've been saying, right? And it makes total sense. Typical buy the rumor, sell the news. And we won't on the day have an exact sell the news event. We will likely have a push, right? We will have retail anticipating hundreds of billions of dollars coming into Bitcoin. Again, that's what it would take, hundreds of billions, to push Bitcoin 10, 20, 30% in price on the upside. And of course, in this case, there's only so much pressure and only so much support retail like you and I can have at this point in the cycle to keep that propped up before we go, oh wait, where's the institutional money? Hence why he says a good 2 months might be the correction time frame here. This is why I cannot buy Bitcoin until these March decision dates have passed. Now, keep in mind as well, if we are denied in January, in 3 days, March will be the next time we know for sure if these Bitcoin ETFs will be passed. That is the last time frame. Now, again, this is very important. Again, BitMEX is I think it's a tier 2 exchange, not a tier 1 exchange, that's for sure. It's tier 2. These guys focus around derivative trading. So again, he's definitely someone to list as an important person to think about this. But again, we're talking about a 20 to 30 to 40% drop. Now, again, he said whatever the price is trading at in March, it would make sense to me to see the price of Bitcoin go probably close to $50,000, maybe even $60,000, just based off that initial push from retail. But if we, hypothetically speaking, I want to put some numbers in your heads here. If we were to just continue with the current price, a 20% drop would be $35,000, which is what at the level in which most of these large institutions are expecting Bitcoin to hold quite steady. Now, 30% drop would kind of be a large level of support. I think we won't really fall beneath this, but 40% from the current price is $26,000. Now, I can almost say for certain right now, we aren't going to go to $26,000, so this, but again, a 40% retracement would actually be feasible if we go to a price of like, say, $50,000 to $60,000, and that's what he's expecting, okay? So a 40% retracement would bring us back down to, $30,000 to $35,000. So that all checks out, and I think he's onto something here. And again, for those who haven't maybe seen the last 3,000 of my videos touching on this topic, right? It is important, again, I want to stress. It was an article written from an interview from James Seffert, who works at Bloomberg. He's been with Bloomberg for over 10 years now, I believe, and he most definitely has the qualifications to talk about ETFs. He said that a go-ahead in the coming days could bring in $10 billion in the first year, but he doesn't think we're going to go over $100 billion in the first year or two, because to put it in perspective, gold ETFs right now have about $100 billion in the US in total. So again, put yourself into perspective and bring yourself back down to reality speaking here. So that would make total sense. And all of these experts from every single which angle are all agreeing on many of these different points. And just, again, so this guy Arthur is saying we're going to have a retracement. Again, that's effectively what the likes of James and others are saying as well. Okay, so this is interesting because BlackRock expects a spot Bitcoin ETF approval on the 10th. So it's all happening. It's all likely going to be approved, or at least 11 out of the 14 issuers will be approved. Please have yourself glued to the screen. Don't be at work. Don't be serving a customer on your phone going, hang on a second, the Bitcoin ETFs are about to be approved. You don't do that, but most definitely take a few extra lunch breaks, all right? Or a few extra breaks. I mean, I'm telling you right now, you want to be paying attention. Now, this could again unfold over a few months, likely to happen, but you want to be ready and prepared. So we have some Bitcoin ordinal/inscription news today. So Bitcoin developer fails to rally support for a so-called bug fix. He's calling the bug fix here the ordinal/inscriptions. Okay, so Luke Dash Jr. failed to rally support for a proposed bug fix to the Bitcoin code that would essentially put an end to ordinals and inscriptions on the blockchain. So again, poor dude failed this. I actually agree with him. Okay, I agree. I don't like Bitcoin and ordinals, as you all know, basically because, as we can see from the Bitcoin mempool over here, that there's currently 260,000 unconfirmed transactions. What the mempool basically is you can think about like a queue to a ride, like a roller coaster, for example, right? Everyone lines up, and if you can imagine paying more money to the vendor, right, you could jump the queue at a certain point. That's what it is. These are unconfirmed transactions from people who have processed a transaction on the Bitcoin network, who are waiting to get added into the next block. Essentially, you can imagine like a carousel on a roller coaster, and again, you can jump the queue in this case by paying more. Now, of course, with the extra in demand from all these ordinals, right, you are finding that the price for these transactions in Bitcoin going from like, $5 to $20 normally up to $100, $200 maybe. And this, of course, is causing congestion. And even people paying like $20, $30 like normal prices are having to wait and wait and wait to get into the carousel, basically, right, into the block. So this is not good, but we're also finding that EVM chains have seen a slump in inscriptions as well. So, a lot of EVM chains, particularly I think ZK Sync, has seen a really big, most of their demand at least, come through from these inscriptions as well. It's basically like it has spawned the ETF. It has spawned the NFT boom again, I believe. I think a lot of the demand basically for the NFTs, or more than Ethereum, has come from these Bitcoin ordinals. So it is good. Like, it's definitely done a good thing, right? It's brought a lot of interest back into crypto. I just don't think it's necessarily a net positive thing for Bitcoin in particular. But hey, as for other networks, all these Ethereum layer 2s, I think it's great. Why not? Okay, just not what Bitcoin's intended purpose is. Now, this article, in the title said, hey, what is the reason for all this? Basically, they say at the very end, right, typical news headline, they say right at the end of the article, it's unclear if this signals a brief lull in the popularity of inscriptions on EVMs or their eventual demise. I mean, look, it's just honestly done to spark your mind and get you thinking. I think that inscriptions/ordinals are going to be big, and I think they're going to be a big part of NFTs, specifically moving into the 2025 bull run. They're new, they're fancy, everyone has their eyes on them. They're going to do well. And last today, Coinbase plans acquisition to expand derivatives offering in the EU. So Coinbase entered into an agreement to buy a company holding some sort of license, a step to start offering crypto derivatives in the EU. They're basically acquiring a company that has a license to offer derivatives, which is fantastic in the EU. Now, EU has a far looser, crypto regulations and rules than what it is in the US, but they actually have a framework out now, MiCA, markets in crypto assets, that is, right now at least, only offering a stablecoin clarity, but this will definitely come for the broader market at some point in some stage. This is fantastic because I don't know if you realize this or not, right? But when it comes to crypto, the more barriers to entry we have, the worse it becomes. The more barriers we pull down, the easier it becomes for us to reach our goals. And Coinbase, whether you want to admit it or not, has been a big proponent in bringing and lowering those barriers to entry, and this will be one of them. The more money we have coming into the space, whether it's from derivatives, spot, whatever it is, the better. Okay, so big props to Coinbase. They are doing the market a big thing. Of course, they're just doing the typical capitalism thing, but in this case, it's helping the net positive ecosystem as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, thank you so much for watching this video the whole way through. I know it was a quick one. I know it's kind of news that we've been hearing about, and there are only minor updates here and there, but you are doing yourself a big service by watching the news. I'm telling you right now, even you just keeping up to speed on all this sort of stuff, you will be able to piece together a much larger puzzle down the track. When everyone's thinking to themselves, wait, how did this happen? You'll be one step ahead. So pat yourself on the back, you deserve it. Thanks so much. Talk to you all soon. See you tomorrow.